GNT will probably bring you exciting and latest sport happenings across the world of sport every Tuesday, as is our tradition to do so. This week won't be an exception, so I would implore you to please stay tuned, because we'll be right back shortly after this break.
JK Royal Signatures.
Welcome back. It's a beautiful Tuesday, and over the weekend we names in the record book and breaking records in the world of football, and such will be starting from the Spanish La Liga, talking about Real Madrid, who were able to get a comfortable win against Real Sociedad in the Spanish La Liga, putting pressure on Barcelona at the Spanish La Liga. You remember that Barcelona are just 1 point ahead of Real Madrid in the table, and Real Madrid scoring 4 goals against Real Sociedad in a match that ended 4 goals to 1 in their favor. We saw it converting the 2 penalty kick that he was awarded, and that means that he was able to get a break. We saw their young striker scoring goal, and we saw Alexander-Arnold back in the squad to reignite what it takes to be a Galactico and fight to the very end of the Spanish La Liga. Or will Barcelona continue to hold on to their 1 point lead in the Spanish La Liga table? It's going to be an interesting one to watch out for, as you also know that Barcelona, who were defeated by Atletico Madrid 4 goals to 0 at the first leg of the Copa del Rey. 4 goals to 0 was a devastating one for Barcelona, and as things stands right now, they could be out of the Copa del Rey. Or to keep their spot in the Copa del Rey, they would have to put 5 goals past Atletico Madrid in the Spanish La Liga and in the Copa del Rey. You would also know that in the Spanish La Liga, Atletico Madrid, who recently beat Barcelona, suffered a humiliating defeat against Rayo Vallecano, which sits at the 17th position in the Spanish La Liga this season. They were able to put 3 goals past Atletico Madrid in the Spanish La Liga. A sad one for them after showing a dominant result against Barcelona in the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. Quite an interesting football and twist and turn that the game of have largely. And also talking about twist and turn, we talk about the match that we witnessed in the Ligue 1 between Rennes and Paris Saint-Germain. It was a devastating result for Paris Saint-Germain, who dropped points yet again and giving Nice an advantage to go back to the top of the Ligue 1 table. It was a great one for Leeds also, which held on to the advantage, defeating Paris 5 goals to 0 in a 5-star performance, as they are back, sitting 1 point ahead of Paris Saint-Germain at the Ligue 1 table. Paris Saint-Germain has started the season slowly, and we also thought after the game that they won against Marseille 5 goals to 0 that they are back in the season, but they suffered an humiliating defeat against Rennes in the weekend, and this means that Nice are back to the Ligue 1 table. Another team that wouldn't fail to talk about in the Ligue 1 is Lyon, who are sitting in the Champions League spots already. They are 3rd position in the Ligue 1 table, and they are fighting and doing everything possible for them to be back to the Champions League for the first time since the year 2020 that they participated in the competition. Will they be able to do that? You know that they have a particular young man this time around doing well for them, the man that switched from Real Madrid to Lyon. When you talk about Hendrick scoring goals and helping Lyon get wins in the Ligue 1, will they be back to the UEFA Champions League where they rightfully belong next season? There's still a long way to go in the competition, but as things stands right now, Lyon sits at the 3rd position ahead of Marseille, who also shared the spoil over the weekend in the world of football. And also quickly, let's switch our attention to the Bundesliga, where we talk about one of the greatest strikers of all time, Harry Kane, being able to score his 500 was able to convert some penalty shootouts, making it his 23 penalties scored since he made his move to Bayern Bayern Munich. He has scored all the penalties in the Bundesliga since he made his move to the team Bayern Munich, and he has been able to score 500 goals in his career. A great striker, and you can take nothing away from Harry Kane, who spent most of his years in the English Premier League, but right now he's doing incredibly well in the Bundesliga and stand a chance of winning the Ballon d'Or if he continues with this incredible form next season and in the Champions League as it goes on, and particularly also in the World Cup, which is going to be a catalyst in winning the Ballon d'Or this season. But quickly, let's go on a very short break, and when we're right back, we continue from where we stop. Welcome back, and continuing from where we stopped, we switch our attention to English football, talking about the FA Cup, where we saw Arsenal Football Club being able to defeat Wigan Athletic 4-0 to book their place in the last 16 for the first time since the year 2020. Arsenal Football Club, who are in the Champions League, were able to finish first position and automatic Cup finals to face Manchester City, and right now in the Premier League also they are sitting at the top of the table with 4 points. They are yet again into the final 16 of the FA Cup after defeating Wigan Athletic. It was an emphatic victory for Arsenal Football Club, who drawed over the weekend against Brentford. They shared point against Brentford over the weekend in a 1-0 draw, which sealed them drop points to 4 points ahead of Manchester City in the Premier League table, but they were able to get that win at the FA Cup. And also at the FA Cup, we saw Liverpool defeating Brighton, and this means that they also joined the English team that has booked their place in the round of 16. And also Manchester City were able to defeat Salford 2-0, where we saw Mark Gay scoring his first Manchester City goal, and this is a great one for him to boost their confidence in a match that ended 2 goals in favor of Manchester City. They are through to the last 16 in the FA Cup, and particularly we saw Newcastle also defeating Aston Villa over the weekend 3-1, where Tonali and we saw Watamada finally getting on the score sheet after experiencing so many goal draws in the colours of Newcastle. They are also through to the final 16 of the competition, and in that particular one we remember that Tammy Abraham was able to score his first goal for Aston Villa since returning to the club. He had a spell in the club before. You now know he's back to the Aston Villa, and he was able to score his goal, but sadly they were unable to get the win that they will be using to proceed to the next round of the FA Cup. An interesting competition, but we take nothing away from Chelsea Football Club also, who were able to get a win against Hull City, a 4-0 victory against Hull City, as we saw Pedro Neto scoring his first career hat-trick in that particular match. The game of football was so much interesting over the weekend, particularly for the English team in the world of football. I'm talking about the UEFA Champions League. We know that the knockout phase of the team that couldn't qualify automatically will be taking place tonight and on Wednesday night, where we'll be seeing Benfica taking on Real Madrid. It was Benfica that stopped Real Madrid from qualifying automatically, and these two are yet to face again in the UEFA Champions League. Will it be remontada for Real Madrid, or will Benfica be able to inflict again another sword to Real Madrid and proceed to the next phase of the UEFA Champions League? We'll also be seeing Monaco taking on Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League night, who will be able to proceed after not qualifying automatically for the UEFA Champions League phase. Also, we'll be seeing Galatasaray taking on Juventus in the UEFA Champions League night, and Juventus also over the weekend, remember that they struggled, but they were unable to get a win against Inter Milan, that is the league leaders in the Italian Serie A this season. They suffered a 3-2 defeat to Inter Milan in the Italian Serie A table. Will they be able to bounce back with a win against Galatasaray? We'll be seeing Victor Osimhen also flying the colors of the Turkish team in the world of football. And this is the length at which we'll be going on this week's episode of Sport Vibe on DNT Work. For more news and sports stories, follow us across our various social media handle at Sport Vibe on DNT Work. Remain a law-abiding citizen, enjoy your week and stay out of trouble. Thank you.